Hello everybody, this is Punisher, staff editor at Don't Revive Me Bro and part of WalkingDeadArmy.com. And this is something that I wanted to teach you. You may not know about. Did you know that Battlefield 4 has its own embedded benchmarking program that you can use? Now, why would you want to do this? Well, there's a couple reasons why. First, it's a good way to test your system out just to see how well it performs in comparison to other benchmarks that have been done with Battlefield 4. Number two, it gives you the opportunity to test your system when new drivers comes out. In the case of what I'm actually was doing right here, I wanted to do a comparison between the old Catalyst drivers compared to the new Catalyst Omega driver that they came out with this week. So I wanted to do this, and when I started doing this, people kind of showed of interest. Well, how do you do the benchmark? So this is how you do it. Well, the fact that BF4 has its own embedded benchmarking program, it's actually app. It's pretty easy to do. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into your console by hitting the tilde key, and then you're going to type in your console perf overlay.framefile log enable, and then 1 will turn it on and 0 will turn it off. And then what you do is you just run around the map, pick a route so that you can remember where you're going, so that every benchmark that you run is standard, that there's no difference or as little difference as possible. And you pick a determined amount of time, like in this case here I did a 360 around the mall. I went through the center, then went down to the water, and then back up, and then I returned back to my starting point. And then I'd open up the tilde and then go ahead and turn off the log by doing the 0. And then what that does is it will go and it will save that file as a spreadsheet file, like you can use in Excel. And what it will do is it saves it in your Battlefield 4 folder under your documents for your user, and it's called frame time log, and then it'll give you the sequential number. Starts at 001, and then every one that you save, it'll do 002, 003, so on and so forth. And then what you see, you open up an Excel right here, and as you can see, it gives you a 3-column multi-row spreadsheet of the data in frame times. Now what it does, it gives you 3 things. It gives you frame time average, frame time for your CPU, frame time for your GPU. So, and it's nice because it'll give you those times in milliseconds for that amount of time that you ran around the map there. Now what I recommend you do is go in and save that file as you do them, and name it something that you can remember, and what I do like here is I named it Mantle Siege Low Settings. Okay, so that you know what video settings you were doing, because I'm gonna be honest with you, after you do like 10 or 15 of these things, you're not going to know what settings you ran under frame time log 001 or 002, so it's best to go ahead and rename it now, and then go ahead and save that, and then you'll have it there so that when you go back to plot it and make your graphs, which I'll go through here in a second, you'll have that data available. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run you through Excel and show you how to actually use this data so that you can make a graphic plot or chart so that you can use for blog pages, for video, whatnot, just like I did in my benchmarking video that I just released. Okay guys, this is a quick and dirty run through on how to do a quick benchmark and graph your benchmark, make a nice presentation for a blog, web page, or if you're going to do a video like what I do on YouTube, you can use this function to make your presentation a little more professional. So the first thing I want to show you is that you need to have a spreadsheet, some sort of spreadsheet, whether it's Excel or OpenOffice, whatever, but I use Excel. Okay, it comes with my college, and I've in the military or whatever else. That's what we've always used. So anyway, I'm familiar with Excel, and it's pretty much a standard. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to open your file. Now, when you do the benchmark, okay, your files are going to be located in your documents, your user documents, and then Battlefield 4, and they're going to be called frame time, and it's going to be like 0001, 0002. It's a sequential number by how many ever, you know, many benchmarks that you do. One of the things I'll give you before we get into the spreadsheet, give you a little pointer, is whenever you do a benchmark, go into your folder and then rename it to whatever your settings are. That way you don't get them mixed up later, because you know, you get them in there and, you know, after a half hour or so, you're not going to remember, at least I won't remember what my settings were when I did the first one, second one, whatever. So it's just easier to go in and rename them as you do them. That way, you know, it makes it easier when you're conducting this little step right here and you understand what your settings are. So anyway, go into your documents, your Battlefield 4 folder, okay, and you should see a bunch of Excel spreadsheets. Now I've already gone in and renamed these, as you can see here, but you can open up, and let's see, let's go ahead and do the Ultra one. I don't think I had a graph. Okay, when you open it up, it's going to default just like this. It's going to have 3 columns, okay, and depending on how long you run your benchmark will determine how many rows you have. I did the circle. I ran around the D flag there at the mall, and I ran around to the water and just did a circle from the middle into the water and then back, one 360-degree loop there, and that gave me roughly 3,000 rows. You know, anywhere from 27 to 3,000. Okay, you know, that's a pretty good sample that you can use for a map. It's basically, you know, 45 seconds to a minute. Okay, now you can also use the, don't forget, you also can use Fraps to do this too. It does the same thing. It has that benchmarking function within this, but I, you know, use the BF4 version because, you know, of course, it's a lot easier to deal with. So anyway, the first step you're going to do, okay, first of all, this is your frame time. This is the average of your CPU frame time or your GPU frame time. Okay, so this is what we're going to use to compute our frames per second. So the first thing you want to do is find you an empty row or empty column, and you're going to type 1000. What the 1000 is going to do, it's going to convert your frame times, which is in milliseconds, to frame rate or frames per second. Okay, so you're going to take 1000, you're going to divide 1000 by each of these numbers. Okay, but it's really simple to set up, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and make another column, and that's going to be your frames per second. Okay, and then what you're going to do, go up here and you're going to type a formula. Don't worry about selecting the FX. Okay, you're not going to assign a function. You're going to manually do this yourself. And what you're going to want to do is, first thing, you're going to hit the equal sign, so that tells, you know, Excel that you're writing a formula. And then you're going to reference your cell F2. But this is important. This is what you're going to want to do. You're going to do a $sign first, okay, and then the foxtrot for F, $, then the 2. Okay, now you should see your cell highlight in blue. This is key because what this does is it tells Excel that you're going to use this standard cell, standard form for all these different cells in this column. And then what you want to do is you're going to divide that by, in this case, we want to know what the frame time for this sample right here is. So we're going to do A2, and you should see your A2 light up in red, and then just hit the enter key and boom, it divides it for you right there. So you got 58.6 frames per second based on a 17.06 millisecond frame time. Now here's where Excel really helps you out. So instead of having to go in and manually enter each one of these 2,800 times, which is ridiculous, because you did this little $sign thing, and because Excel is intuitive and it can kind of think for you, all you need to do is you need to copy that and then left click and drag down until you get down to the bottom of your samples here, which should be somewhere, there you go, whoa, whoa, back up, right there, and then just paste that in. Okay, what that's going to do, as you can see here, there's your formula, but now instead of it being A2, it's A3. Same thing for here, A4, A5, A6, A7, and so on down to 20, 2000, whatever. So now you have a conversion of your frame times to frame rates per second. The next thing you want to do is you want to figure out what your average is. Okay, and this is also something that's very easy to do. So just click and drag your bar down to the bottom. It's a quicker way to do it instead of doing auto scroll. Now select your field below your frames per second. Hit your formula function this time and find average. Okay, you can either type it up here, or you can look for it in the fields down here by selecting most recently used, all. It will be under math and trig, or all. Anyway, so you want average. Okay, now because you have it selected down here, what Excel is going to ask you, or it's going to try to figure out for you, is whether or not you want to do the average for this whole column, which is what we want. So it's already going to pre-fill it in for you. Okay, so just verify that's what you want, which we're looking for column D, which would be D2 all the way down to D2153, and that is what we want. And you just hit it and boom, there is my average frames per second over the sample size that I took, which is 56.8 in Ultra at 1920 by 1080. Now you can copy this, okay, and then paste it up here. And what I like to do is copy, paste that. Nope, it did not take it. I don't know why it didn't take it. So we got. All right, I'll tell you what. 56.8. I'm gonna round that up to 56.9 based on the 600s would be above 5. And that'd be 58. Oh no. 58.9. I'm going to verify my number is correct because my memory is so terrible. 56.9. 56.9. See, I told you. 56.9. Okay, now let's go ahead and label this column FPS average. Okay. And then you're going to copy and then do the same thing. Left click and drag. And the reason you're going to do this instead of selecting your column, which I could do, and it's faster, but what that's going to do is if you were to select your column, that would fill in well past your sample size. And when you go do your graph, then your graph's going to be really screwed up. It's going to show your sample size, a very small portion to the left, and then you're going to have this time span across your graph that's just useless space. So in any case, so that's why you want to left click and drag down like that. So now you got your two columns that you want to graph. So what you do is you left click the columns up here, okay, because you can, select all your column at one time. First of all, let me get that unselected. All right, so now you do that, select your column that you want to sample and graph, and then hold down Control and do your other. And now you got the two that you want to actually insert on your graph. Now let's make your graph here, and I like to use line charts for the for doing frame rates. So here's your graph. Now you go up here and you can change, whatever color. Now I like these dark colors. It's you got better contrast, and it looks a little better. Let's do this one. There you go. So let's blow that up. Okay, and there's your chart, and your blue is your FPS, frames per second, through your sample size, and you got your orange line that is your average over that sample size, which is real nice. Now you can customize this some. Let's go ahead and change the chart title, and because you want to, when you're using this in presentation, you want people to understand what your chart's about. Chart title is not going to tell you. So for this, it was BF4, the game I use, not VF. BF4, and then I was running Mantle, and I was running the 14.11.2 beta driver, which is I'm testing that against a Mega. And then this was Ultra settings at 1920 by 1080. And I suck at typing. So anyway, so now you got your title there, real nice. Now, another thing you can do is you can left click over here on your chart, and it'll give you some access options for formatting. And I'm going to look at I want to get this down toward the middle of the chart. Okay, so you look at your frame rate average, which is roughly, you know, right there, 57. You can go double that and go, let's see, let's go 160. And I should, oh, too much. What am I thinking? 120. There you go. Get you in the middle of the chart there, and you can also change your data points here, and you can say, let's go 10 instead of 20. Okay, and you can see there now it adds every 10 frames per second, or 10 points, whatever, across your vertical, so you can get a little better representation of what you're seeing. And then all I like to do, if you're going to use this in a presentation, just take a snippet of it. Pretty much all you need to do. So there you go. You got your graph that you can use on your videos, your blog pages, anything you want to do. And then just, you know, name it whatever. Omega, or actually this is beta. Ultra settings. So anyway, guys, that's it. This is a great way to do some benchmarking, do it kind of like how the pros do it, and get a good representation of what you're seeing, you know, out of performance for your PC based on the games that you play. So anyway, guys, I hope this helped you out. Hope you guys have a great weekend coming up on Christmas. Looking very forward to it. Hope to see you guys out on the battlefield. Bye-bye.